to have that question answered would be at the mercy of the retirement plan, the retirement administrator. So I'll need to see if he's available. What I can give you is the cost of this, the cost attributed to the retirement plan versus the cost attributed to the employee plan. And I can tell you, in the event there are no excess earnings, what the county's responsibility is, which is 50%. And then the retirees would be responsible for the rest. That is a per board resolution already, that's already in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Smith?
Well, I concur with Supervisor McCowan. The fact that this is, we've been operating without a contract, literally, although the agenda summary doesn't exactly say that, but that's in fact what's been happening. I don't think delaying it another week to get a more substantive response to some of the questions here and having a real, besides just maybe the execution copy that we were just handed, to have a real understanding of what this 3-year agreement means. Now, I think it would be a moot point if all we were doing is basically correcting a procedural error or procedural whatever lapse, if you will, and we were just today covering retroactivity. What more, we would need to do that. I mean, we might not like it, but we would probably need to move forward. But the fact is that we're continuing on. We're sort of midstream in a 3-year contract, and I don't think waiting one more week to get real concrete information about what this means relative to the county with this $4.5 million price tag. Now, I know this is not directly monies that the county is necessarily contributing, but I think we do need those breakdowns. We need, and it's a great opportunity to educate the workforce and educate the public on the cost of prescription drug programs, why we're going down the path we are. Not at all critical of this as being not perhaps the best option. It probably is, but I think we fully need to understand what we're executing with respect to this document. So I would prefer, actually, because I don't think by the end of business today, if we're calling out 5 o'clock, we're going to be able to have all of those answers that I think that Supervisor McCowan is looking for. And I would prefer waiting 1 week so we have a more comprehensive agenda summary that delineates what these costs are, what's happened retroactively, why it is the way it is, and what we're committing to going forward, because we're committing to yet another year.
May I comment?
Sure.
I hope this helps. In regards to doing the health plan renewal every year, it is budgeted. That amount has already been budgeted and projected out. So it's not a new number. I need to assure you of that. It's not a brand new number. It's a number that's in existence. That number came from existing projections. So it's not any monies we're adding on top of what we've already budgeted for the health plans. It is a part of those. This is one piece that's simply pulled out of the overall budgets for the health plans. But
again, as an educational piece,
sure,
as a part to understand the $4.5 million breakdown, I understand that the monies, at least, I believe it is what was said, is the monies are not commingled from the retiree health plan and the county employee health plan. But I think, again, educational opportunity, time to break down those costs. Let's know what it is. Let's know maybe a little bit of detail too on why we have had a contractual lapse and what that means and why we're doing what we're doing now. And I just don't think we need to rush it. I think 1 more week to get more clarification, making it educational for not just the decision makers but everyone is probably a prudent thing. That would be my preference.
Linda, I got one question. When was this documentation supplied to the board?
I don't know. I mean, I don't remember. I'm sure I'd have to look on my calendar. I'm not sure. Christy would know.
It has a date of November 17th.
Okay, yeah. It's, we have rules and our procedures that all information is supposed to be available to us 2 weeks before the meeting, and that certainly they adhered to. Board members have had the access to those documents for 2 weeks.
Well, we have not.
I didn't know.
This summary apparently was originally prepared November 17th. It only came to us in our packet, and it came to us without any of the documentation.
But the backup documentation is in our office. You can refer to that. It's the clerk of the board that has the file in there. You can go, any documentation that comes in, the backup documentation is on file in the clerk of the board's office.
Well, I appreciate that, but the answer to the questions that we've asked today are not available. And the questions couldn't be known in advance of some of the information we got today.
But my point is, the 2 weeks in advance, that's what gives board members opportunity to look into these different issues.
But
So,
Supervisor, we only had 2 individuals seated here today, hours ago, to
I'm not
even-
specifically talking about this, I'm just trying
Okay.
to educate
All right.
board members
I
of
appreciate
the
that.
process. Because the information, that's the reason for having that rule for the 2 weeks, to give board members 2 weeks to talk to department heads or whatever. Any members of the public want to speak on this issue? Okay, no. I want to poll the board members. We have 2 board members here that seem to want to continue this for probably a week, maybe. I don't know what their agenda is for next week. A week, or can we get it in a week? Is there support of that? Okay, we'll just continue that.
Okay, thank you.
And that won't create a problem with the contract or anything, a week's continuance?
Not to my knowledge, I've been holding them off this long.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 9 on the consent calendar, approval of Mendocino County Investment Pool Policy, the treasurer tax collector. Sherry Stratmeyer, our
Sherry
treasurer.
Shatmeyer, Treasurer Tax Collector. Hello.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I wanted to pull this because I would like to know if we have qualified providers locally, and what amount of funds we may have placed with them, and what are the opportunities to try to direct that the reinvestment of some of these funds be placed through local providers, or other ways that we might try to use these to help leverage the local economy. So,
Okay. No, we do not have any authorized dealers from entities in Mendocino County, nor do we have any part of our pool that has funds invested in Mendocino County. The 2 years that I've been here, I have not had anybody within the county contact me to talk to me about investing with us. That's something that has not happened. As far as using the pool, we can't per se finance anything. We can buy notes, we can buy bonds. I went back in the files in my office, and I found that the last time that there was any presentation to the Board of Supervisors was back in 1995. And that was for social services building alterations, and it was approved by the board May of '95. And since that time, I have seen nothing where anybody has tried to access the pool at all. One thing we have to keep in mind is this is not just the county's funds. These are, the biggest percentage of our pool is county schools.
well, I would like to, do you have an estimate of what percentage are actual county funds?
Nothing. Yeah, there's nothing in this county.
Zero that are
Zero.
specifically county.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
not saying that I would be opposed to that. Basically, anything that was presented to me that would be a permissible investment would have to come before this Board of Supervisors to approve it. So, and it doesn't appear that that's happened in
And is
years.
it the scale of investment that, is that one reason we don't have anyone locally qualified to handle these, or they just haven't bothered to apply and get qualified or make proposals?
Well, I think it's probably hard for them to compete with the entities that we actually have investments with, that we look for the highest return we can get. We look at the securities, and we look at the safety, we look at what we're gonna get. So, I mean, that could be the hardest part. It might be hard for, say, the Savings Bank of Mendocino to compete with Bank of America or something like that. So that's pretty much, I don't know for sure why the county, I know about 20 years ago, the county might have had a CD in a local bank. Why that stopped 15 or 20 years ago, I do not really know. All I know is nobody has come to me in the last 2 years to ask me for money to invest with their entities, so.
Because depending on the rate of